Most people believe that toxic people are the problem, but the truth is often more uncomfortable than that. Because if you keep reacting the same way, you may be unconsciously sustaining the cycle yourself. Toxic people rarely destroy your life through one dramatic moment. Instead, they tend to wear you down slowly, almost invisibly, through repeated negativity, subtle disrespect, and emotional manipulation that blends into everyday interactions so seamlessly that you don't even notice it at first. Over time, you may begin to feel drained after simple conversations, your focus weakens, and more dangerously, you might start questioning your own worth without fully understanding why. The real danger isn't just what they say or do, it's how you respond without awareness. From the perspective of Stoicism, the core issue is not external events, but the way you interpret and react to them. In other words, the real loss of control often happens internally. As Epictetus taught, in essence, we cannot control our circumstances, but we can still influence how we respond. And that small distinction can create a meaningful gap between those who feel controlled by situations and those who learn to manage themselves within them. Yet many people never fully make that shift. They continue trying to change others, win arguments, or prove themselves right. When in reality, the only thing that can truly change the dynamic is mastering oneself. Once you begin to understand this, you may realize that the most effective way to deal with toxic people is not to fight them or avoid them entirely, but to gradually transform the way you show up, so that the interaction itself begins to change, and with it, the balance of power. The first thing you need to recognize is that you might be over-explaining yourself. You may not notice it, but every time someone questions your decisions and you rush to justify them, you could be giving away your authority, placing yourself in a position where you feel the need to defend your very existence. In many cases, what appears to be a search for clarity may actually be a subtle attempt to gain control, and over-explaining can unintentionally support that dynamic. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you do not need anyone's approval to live with integrity. And once you begin to internalize that, you may find yourself speaking less, but with greater certainty instead of trying to persuade. A simple response like, "That's what I decided," followed by silence, often carries more weight than any long explanation. The second step, and one that many people struggle with, is learning to manage your emotional reactions. Toxic people are not necessarily powerful because of what they say, but because of their ability to trigger you. The moment you react with anger, defensiveness, or frustration, you may become more predictable, and predictability can make you easier to influence. Stoic philosophy is clear on this point. In practice, if someone can strongly influence your emotional state, they may gain a degree of influence over your behavior. Real strength is not found in reacting intensely, but in creating space between stimulus and response, where choice becomes possible. A simple but powerful practice is to pause for a few seconds before responding. Take a slow breath and lower your tone. That brief moment of stillness can help prevent impulsive reactions and allow you to respond with intention. The third thing you need to build is boundaries, not loud or confrontational ones, but quiet and consistent ones. Many people misunderstand boundaries as conflict, when in reality they are about clarity and consistency. Every time you say yes to something you don't truly want or tolerate behavior that drains you, you may be teaching others how to treat you. It's like leaving your door open and wondering why people keep walking in. According to the way Seneca approached this idea, when you continuously accept patterns of disrespect, you may unintentionally allow them to continue, not to assign blame, but to help you recognize where your influence still exists. When you begin setting small boundaries, whether it's not responding to messages after a certain time or choosing not to engage in negative conversations, you start rebuilding respect through consistent action. Once boundaries are in place, the fourth step is learning to detach from other people's opinions. One of the most damaging patterns is allowing someone else's words to define your reality. You replay conversations, analyze their tone, and gradually internalize their judgment. But if you look more closely, you may realize that many negative opinions are not accurate reflections of you, but expressions of the other person's fears, insecurities, or limitations. Those who follow Stoicism understand that people act based on their perceptions, not necessarily objective truth. And when you begin to ask yourself, is this actually true, or is this just their perspective? You create enough distance to reduce the emotional impact. The fifth step is learning to use silence strategically. Silence is often misunderstood as weakness, but in many situations, it can be one of the most effective tools you have. Toxic people often rely on your reactions to maintain a certain dynamic, and when you stop responding the way they expect, you interrupt that pattern. Silence creates space, and within that space, their behavior can become more visible, sometimes even to themselves. When you remain calm, maintain eye contact, and choose not to react immediately, you can shift the tone of the interaction without saying much at all. The sixth step, which sits at the core of Stoicism, is focusing only on what you can truly control. You cannot control how others think, behave, or respond, and trying to do so will often drain your energy without producing meaningful results. But when you redirect your focus toward your own standards, actions, and responses, you begin to regain a sense of control that is both practical and sustainable. A simple but effective exercise is to separate what you can control from what you cannot, and consciously reduce the energy you invest in the latter. That clarity alone can significantly improve your mental state. And finally, the seventh step is upgrading your overall presence. Many people believe respect comes from what you say, but in reality, it often comes from how you carry yourself. A person who remains calm, consistent, and emotionally stable creates a subtle form of pressure that naturally shifts how others interact with them. You don't need to demand respect or prove anything, because your behavior, your boundaries, and your emotional control already communicate it. When you slow down your speech, move with intention, and react less, you become someone who is difficult to disturb, and that alone can change the dynamic significantly. There was a time when I believed the solution was to fix toxic people, to explain myself more clearly, or to prove my point more effectively. But the more I tried, the more out of control everything felt, because all my efforts were directed outward instead of inward. It was only when I began applying the principles of Stoicism that I realized real change doesn't come from making life easier, but from becoming stronger within it. If you want to apply this in your own life, keep it simple. Spend the first week observing your reactions without trying to change them. The second week practicing control by creating pauses and setting small boundaries. And the third week focusing on maintaining calmness and consistency under pressure. This process does not require perfection, but it does require consistency, because repetition is what creates lasting transformation. And always remember what Marcus Aurelius reminded us: you have power over your mind, not over external events. Once you truly understand and apply that, you may find that you are no longer as affected by the outside world as you once were. At that point, toxic people don't necessarily lose their influence because they changed, but because they gradually lose the ability to affect you in the same way. And that is where a deeper sense of freedom begins.